Hello all and welcome to the second episode of Leo's Learnings. As we enter the part of the season where summer mileage begins for all you high schoolers, Leo's Learnings competitions are heating up, so stay tuned for our interview and challenge questions with HOKA miler Kyle Merber. You're watching Leo's Learnings. So why do we call it Leo's Learnings? Because I want you to learn some things. Along the way, I've done a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong, and I want to be able to share all that information with you. So for each episode, we're going to be focusing on a theme as it correlates to a part of a season. So for all you high schoolers right now, this is typically a time that you focus on your base training for cross country, which means summer miles. So the theme that I want to talk about this week is consistency. The word speaks for itself. And so for all you high schoolers, the most important part of your job is to be consistent with your training, be consistent with logging in the miles, and also be consistent with injury prevention. The worst thing that you can do is get too excited and get injured. The second worst thing that you can do is be inconsistent. So remember, keep putting the hay in the barn and keep logging in those miles because it will pay off later on in the season when you start to sharpen up. So stay tuned as I break down some tips about consistency later on in our episode. But now, I want to welcome our guest, Kyle Merber. So Kyle Merber is a 352 miler. He's a two-time world record holder, once in the 4x800 meters and also the DMR. He's also a 334 1500 meter runner, a Columbia grad, and a former Longhorn. Kyle, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Good to see you. It's been too long.
I know it's been a while. How are you doing? How's training going?
Yeah, things are good. I'd say you picked the perfect time to retire since there's nothing going on really. But just running a lot, just waiting for an opportunity that who knows when it's going to come, but we'll try to be as ready as possible for when it eventually arrives.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that you're still staying focused. Right now it's a really tough time for a lot of people. It's kind of a very interesting time. Most of the events are canceled. Olympics are postponed until next year. How are you dealing with that, and how has training changed?
Yeah, so it's definitely unique, and I would say it's better than being injured and watching everyone else race. So I keep trying to take that perspective, but for the most part, my initial reaction was let's try to change things up and mix some fun into it and do something a little bit different. And so for me, that just meant that I started bumping my mileage and just running a little bit more. That was the reaction that I had, and it seemed like a healthy one. And so I've been running a lot. I've been putting in some 100-mile weeks for the first time in my career, and I'm doing really long workouts, and I'm strong, and my 400 split would be terrible right now. So, but we're having fun. I mean, it's too bad that there's no marathons on the schedule in the immediate, but yeah.
So there's a chance you may do the marathon, is what you're saying.
Yeah, if there's a virtual marathon I'll sign up.
That's great to hear. But hey, but before we get into some mileage and before we talk about your 100-mile week, I want to backtrack just slightly, right? So we have a lot of high school viewers, and on that note, man, I had a chance to go back and watch you race at Millrose. Man, yeah. I got to say, you were such a stud in high school, man. And you ran 9:06 in the 3,200 meters and also a 1:53 in the 800 meters. Talk about some range.
Yeah.
I guess, I have, on that note, I do have some questions. So first of all, can you take us back to that time? And then also, I saw an awesome interview out there with you and Coach Finn. Yeah. Tell us about Coach Finn.
Yeah, so Coach Finn was my high school cross-country and track coach. And, he's probably the reason why I had some decent high school PRs across the range of events, because we were a track team. And I was really one of our only true distance runners. And Coach Finn and I, we learned how to run far and do it fast together. And so it was really fun high school experience because he wasn't young, but he was a young track or young cross country coach specifically. And so we learned about the sport together. But at the same time, they still needed me on the 4x400 and I still ran the 4x800. So a lot of times my meets would be like a lot of high school kids, 4 events, squeeze into a couple hours, and wow. You do that and you get a nice little range of PRs by the end of it.
Man, that's awesome. What that 906 is hot. Again, going back to Milrose games, I believe that was a 413. Is that what you ran?
Yeah, 413 at the Garden. I think I would self-convert it a little bit nicer on that old 160-yard track. But, my senior year, I did do really well. I think that was my personal best compared to some of the high schoolers today. Maybe don't necessarily stack up well, but I was able to be really competitive at the time in 2008, running, 411 to 413 pretty consistently at high profile races. And it just, I think that was kind of the time in my career when I learned the importance of not just running fast, but winning races. That's, of course, something well.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that kind of stuck to mind, I'm sorry I'm going back to Milrose games, but man, that was a hot field. You had Robbie Andrews in there and you like really hammered down, and it was really exciting getting to watch you race in that high school mile.
Yeah, I think that's such an exciting part of the high school racing circuit in general is you don't know who you're racing against as in terms of like what future Olympian is going to be in your race. At that time, everyone's just 16, 17 years old trying to make it big and do their best. And, I'm lucky enough to have panned out somewhat, and Robbie really panned out. It's a good memory and something that we joke about a lot, but he took home the title that next year, no problem.
Yeah, well, I would say that both of you guys really hit it hard and both of you panned out.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So it's it's really interesting. I did get to watch that interview with you and Coach Finn, and you talked about, I guess there was a moment where you guys didn't see kind of eye to eye on training. For some high school runners out there, I'm assuming it's a very similar story. What words of advice would you give those high schoolers that are perhaps not seeing on the same terms as as their coach, and vice versa?
Yeah, so I think a big reason why that problem existed was there's so much information out there, and that was then compared to even now, where there's so much information out there, and you get so many different stories of how people train and what the best athletes are doing, and you get the books and you have this idea in your head of what you need to be doing if you want to be on that level. And I think that the dissonance really began at one point because we had different goals in mind, where I wanted to be a professional runner right now, even though I was 15 years old, and I wanted to train like them. And he had the very mature approach of understanding the long-term progress and, seeing that development all the way through. And, ultimately there's many, many different ways to train athletes. It's not a one size fits all sort of sport. And the basic idea that I always say is, you just got to work hard and then you got to recover, and you got to work hard and you got to recover, and you'll get better. And there's a lot of different ways that you can work hard, but you've got to work hard at some point and you got to recover at some point. That's the training.
Absolutely. And we'll get into recovery in just a second, but I guess just really quick to top that last question off. If you could go back, what's one thing in your training that you would change, or what's something as in the whole aspect of being a high schooler that you would change or do differently?
Yeah. Truthfully, overall, I was now looking back, I am pretty happy with the things that I did. But the one thing I would encourage others to do is to not necessarily feel like they need to bump up their mileage to these insane levels that you hear some high schoolers doing. It's all relative. And as long as you're constantly improving yourself and challenging yourself in new ways, then you are going to improve, and you're going to leave a lot of room to grow. And also, don't be afraid to hop in some sprints, here and there. Hop in a 200 or 400 at dual meet, because that foundational speed is something that you can really, really help, blossom at a young age. And as I've gotten older, it's not as easy to get now as it was when you were 15, 16 years old.
Man, well, I'll definitely say you definitely had some speed, that 153, 800 meters.
Yeah.
I guess moving over to our next question. So I got to say, like, I'm just so impressed with you. I think, we've had an opportunity to race on the track a couple times. I know you have had, some luck with injuries, with surgeries. You've also worked very, very extremely hard to get back to where you need to be, and somehow you always find a way to be there and to like show up at the right moment. I guess, number one, what's your secret?
Yeah. Well, I'm honored you say that. I guess maybe the secret is just keep showing up, as a great marathoner once said, and you just got to keep showing up. And I think the key to longevity is just having that positivity. And there's going to be some down years, or there's going to be some really tough months, and there's going to be some tough injuries along the way for sure. And I think just knowing that in advance mentally prepares you for it. If you think it's going to be easy, speaking of these high schoolers, if you think it's going to be easy through college and you're just going to get better every single season, like, you're wrong. That's not how things work. There's going to be some times in which you really, really struggle. But if you know that that's going to come and you're able to stay calm and stick to a plan and just kind of embrace the process that is, the recovery and the process of getting in shape, then you have a better chance to hopefully have a really long career.
No, absolutely. And talking about recovery, you recently had you did go through some surgery recently, right?
Yeah.
So you've been recovering.
Yeah, I recovered. It took a little while, and there was some, follow-up injuries that occurred. But yeah, for the most part, I don't feel the thing that was bothering me at all anymore with my adductors. I do feel like it took a little bit of my speed away, if I'm going to be honest, a little bit of pop, but I've gotten stronger as a result.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Can you share with us some of those recovery methods that you've been using?
Yeah, I mean, so of course, the PT they're experts in their field, and they give us a million exercises, and I feel like we all have a tendency to pick and choose one or two that we like and kind of ignore the rest. But sticking to the plan is certainly important. Personally, just getting into a good routine of every day, waking up and rolling out and stretching. Personally, I use the Primvita vibrating roller just to loosen up first thing I do every morning.
I got mine too.
You got one? Yeah. So, but it's first thing I do, wake up in the morning, and I just like start stretching immediately. And I get my routine. I am doing my band exercises before every run, and then also cooling down. And, that is all part of the job. It's not just the run. It's the things that you do surrounding it. And when you have that routine and you're not willing to compromise it, then, you're building some really, really strong habits that will hopefully keep you healthy for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Kyle. And, just really, really thinking about the way that you have really increased the level of intensity in your runs. I watched your video where you hit 100 miles in a week. You topped it off with 20 miles. God, that's crazy to me. I think even at my best, it was like maybe a 15 miler. But anyways, like on that note, like, when you're up that high, like what are the, the precautions or, the steps to get to that type of mileage?
Yeah. So, I think kind of, as you said, like, it's not that people do way more than even I've been doing recently, but I think for a miler, especially, it is kind of rare to go, that high. But, I've actually had a lot of luck with it, I think, from a health standpoint, because you just have to be patient. You got to listen to your body, and you need to not force things. And I think those are lessons that have just carried over from all different points in my career. And it's just some days I wake up, especially on Monday mornings after a Sunday long run, and like that first mile hurts. It is a painful, slow mile of a lot of stiffness, but you just listen to your body, and rather than forcing the pace. You just let things loosen up, and you're tired. You're tired all the time, and you got to eat right, and you got to sleep it off, and recover when it's a recovery day, and then when it's a workout day, try not to think about what you had done the previous few days for mileage.
So, in terms of recovery, I also hear that you're a professional napper. You want to give us some tips on that?
It's an issue now that my wife is working from home. But yeah, I mean, I've never been one to sleep 10 hours through the night, 7-8 hours, and I just pop up wide awake. Even if I have that runway, even if I go to bed at 10 o'clock, I feel like I wake up at first light. And so for me to, kind of maximize my recovery, I'm an afternoon napper. I throw the blindfold on, get the noise canceling earphones, listen to the first 30 seconds of a podcast, and I'm out.
I love it. I love it. Okay. I had just thinking back, and I guess before we end, I had an interesting question. I remember you being in Texas, and as you were coming out of Texas, you had been following HOKA, and if I remember correctly, you were also one of the first athletes out there that really believed in HOKA. And I guess my question to you is why? Why did you believe in HOKA?
Yeah, I worked in shoe stores for a number of years and run specialty, and so I had seen a lot of different shoes. I tried them on, and you get seated all different shoes from different brands all the time when you're an employee at a running store, which is a nice perk. But in that time, a lot of different companies started and tried to break into the market and weren't able to, because you tried their product and it just wasn't good. And then when HOKA came in to the running industry and you see the product, and you're like, at first reaction is kind of like, it's a gimmick, what if we do even more cushion? And then you try it on, and all of a sudden you're like, this works. And it's the field test. Like, you go for one run in them, and all of a sudden you're a believer. And so for me, that was it. And outside of just the product, I thought it was really exciting, some of the things HOKA did, because a lot of new shoe companies come in and they just think people are going to buy them. But HOKA quickly and immediately invested in the sport. I mean, they started off with a bang by signing a silver medalist, and they kept going, and they kept building up this roster. And now look at what HOKA's built in terms of the people that wear their uniform. And that kind of investment in the running community is something that I personally took note of and appreciate on a much deeper level beyond just really enjoying the product.
Absolutely, Kyle. And I think that you've definitely done a lot for the sport. You continue doing a lot for the sport. One of our last questions here is, so you also know there's a lot of high schoolers right now. It's the summer, right?
Yeah.
And right now it's a very important time for a lot of youth that are preparing for cross country. What recommendations do you have, for our youth, for our high schoolers that are getting ready to hit some summer miles, and, what else is out there for them that you know of?
Yeah. So, I hope that everyone's trying to earn their HOKA Summer Mile Club hat first off. I've been wearing mine every day. Yeah, you got it there in the background. But I think the big thing is, one, make sure health is a priority, because you want to start the season off on the right foot. But the second thing that I would say is accountability is everything. And that means meeting up with teammates or friends to get runs in and getting them in early. If you're waiting till 10 o'clock to get your run in and it's 95 degrees out, who knows how hot it would be down in Texas, then you're just not going to get the same kind of quality run. And there's a professionalism that comes with waking up early with intent, setting the alarm, rolling out of bed, and making the run the first thing that you do every single day. I think that with that intention comes quality, and is a good routine to set early, and sometimes having friends for that accountability will make it happen.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for that, Kyle. I mean, guys, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for answering some pretty, difficult questions, but I also have some heavy hitting questions for you that are potentially more difficult than what we just had.
All right.
Are you ready?
Is it math?
No, this is for Leo's Learnings Challenge. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so you have 15,000 followers on Twitter, 23,000 followers on Instagram. The word on the street is that you're always known for turning a phrase on Twitter. And I believe the Twitter name is @TheRealMerb. So if you're watching, make sure to follow him. So we've compiled a couple of tweets that some that you may have put on, some that you may have not. And the challenge is if you guess your tweet, it's 1 point. If you guess a tweet that was written by another HOKA athlete, that's another point. It's actually a bonus point. And you win absolutely nothing.
There we go. Right. I should know my own work.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let's see it.
Okay. The first one is, there are 2 types of days. Days the McRib is back and days I hate.
Oh, that sounds like something I would have said years ago, though. I'm going to take credit for that, but I think it would have been like in 2014.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely your tweet. All right.
Do you have a year? When was that? I haven't had a forever.
That was December 13, 2012. That's awesome. Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay, we have 10 for you, okay? Here we go. So, first official NJNYTC practice today. Do we meet in NJ or NY? And what does TC stand for? These questions need answers.
Oh,
Who said that?
First official. I don't think it's me.
Okay. For the bonus point, do you know who it was?
I'm gonna go with like Colby.
It was Johnny Gregoric, and that was September 21st, 2015. And that's not a bad guess, though.
That was a close guess.
Sometimes I stand up way too fast just to get high.
That's me.
That is you, and that's June 3rd, 2018.
Nice.
Course for people who aren't running enough.
That's me. Yeah. That's definitely
good.
Me. Yeah.
December 19, 2015. Moving on. Life goal, be in a United pre-flight video.
That's going to be someone else. That's going to be, is that a HOKA athlete? That's not me?
It's a HOKA athlete. These are all HOKA athletes.
Let's go Scott Fauble.
Oh, that was Ford Palmer. That was April 29, 2016. Okay, let's move on. I've got a man crush on Aziz Ansari. I just want to hang out with him. Gosh darn it.
I don't think that was me, although I love Aziz. Was it me?
No, that wasn't you. That was Colby Alexander, December 21st, 2012. Okay.
Wow, that is an old tweet.
we went back. We went back.
Rolling.
Okay. Trying to go to bed, but my phone still has battery. Who said that?
That's me.
All right. That was you. That was April 26, 2018. The emoji keyboard needs a search function. Just saying.
I don't think that's me.
That was Danny Shannon.
All right.
Number 9. One last hard brush before the dentist to make up for years of negligence will definitely fool him. Who said that? That's you. Yep. Okay. And here is the last one for all the money. For all the money. Here we go. Or for nothing. I had a fart last night that lasted at least 45 seconds and had an intro, chorus, and outro. Hashtag rare. Hashtag impressive. Who said that?
That wasn't me. I don't do that much fart humor.
Okay.
That's Leo Manzano.
No, that was Colby Alexander.
Right.
Hey, they give me this, I just say it, okay? That was December 21st, 2017.
All right. I got all of my own, though.
You did. So, Kyle, you got all your points. You didn't get any of the bonus points. Kyle, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to be rooting for you. Olympics 2021, right?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Good catching up. Really, the tweets from 2012, I can't believe that anyone would scroll that much, but glad to do it with you.
Well, on that note, I think there are definitely some people that do. So again, Kyle, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you. All right. Thanks to Kyle for his perspective. He gave us some great insights on how to approach summer miles and to be consistent. Now, I'm going to share some tips on how to continue that consistency into the building phase of your training for those summer miles. Number one, have a plan in your training and build your base mileage anywhere from 10 to 15% each week. Also, be flexible because plans can change. Number two, set time aside for rolling and stretching, preferably right after training. Number three, make sure you get in your physio, your massage, or rolling. If you have the ability to get in your massage, try to work it in at least once a week. If not, at least roll every day. Number four, from Kyle Merber himself, get your runs done early.
There's a professionalism that comes with waking up early with intent, setting the alarm, rolling out of bed, and making the run the first thing that you do every single day. I think that with that intention comes quality.
Okay, well that does it for this episode of Leo's Learnings. Hopefully we gave you some valuable tips to help you be successful for this cross-country season. If you need some extra motivation, check out HOKA's program, the Summer Mile Club, where you can earn badges and sweet prizes when you hit milestones. 100 miles, you get this hat. 400 miles, check it out. And now I'm passing it off to a couple HOKA athletes.